From his very first UFC fight, Khamzat Chimaev has been compared to UFC Hall of Famer and MMA legend Khabib Nurmagomedov. However, since then, Khamzat his own with flashes, which is why we grew curious to see what force in Chimaev had met an immovable object in Nurmagomedov. So, without further ado, let's break down our fantasy matchup. Khabib Nurmagomedov. Nicknamed the Eagle, Khabib soared to the top of the lightweight division and firmly staked a claim to being the best to ever do it at 155 pounds before he retired from the sport in 2020. At the time of his retirement, he had amassed an unbeaten record of 29-0 with 19 finishes. During that time, he won 3 Performance of the Night bonuses, had the UFC belt wrapped around his waist, and successfully defended the title 3 times. Before his retirement, Khabib also laid claim to several UFC records, such as the longest lightweight championship reign, which went on for 1,077 days. Most takedowns in a single UFC fight when he took down Abel Trujillo 21 times. Most submission wins in the UFC lightweight title fights, most consecutive wins in the lightweight division, and was tied for the most consecutive title defenses and most title wins in the lightweight division. So it's no wonder he was named the pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet before his retirement and elevated himself into the greatest of all-time discussion. The dominant grappling that he showcased throughout his career has changed the landscape of MMA, as many of his techniques were originated by him and his team and are now being replicated and copied by other fighters. This grappling mastery earned him wins over the likes of Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Edson Barboza, and Rafael dos Anjos, among others. However, what makes this fantasy matchup so intriguing is that one of the few fighters to challenge Khabib's grappling dominance is the one and only Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev has taken over the UFC in recent years. In just 6 fights, he has established himself as a 2-division threat. When first appeared onto the scene, he set the record for the quickest turnaround between UFC wins in the modern era, as he faced John Phillips and Rhys McKee in the span of 10 days. Khamzat followed this impressive feat with a 17-second KO of Gerald Meerschaert 2 months later. However, after a long bout with COVID, where he retired from MMA and unretired, he asserted himself back into the rankings with a first-round demolition of Li Jingliang. What's even crazier was that in his first 4 UFC fights, Chimaev took 1 significant former welterweight #1 contender, Gilbert Burns. The two put on a Fight of the Year contender in which we saw Chimaev get tested, his inexperience shown, and he was even rocked by Burns. But despite all of that, Chimaev showed his heart and eked out a decision win over Burns. After which, Khamzat would go back to his flawless victory ways as he submitted Kevin Holland in just over 2 minutes and once again took 0 significant strikes. Now that the preliminaries are set between the two phenoms, let's take a deeper look into what would happen if Khabib and Khamzat fought each other. Striking. For this matchup, we'll be foregoing the reach advantage for now, as this is more of a skill contest. Otherwise, Khamzat's 5-inch reach advantage would be extremely valuable here. But despite that, the striking edge would go to the Chechenian superstar, as he has displayed a more well-rounded game than Khabib. But we don't want to simply dismiss Khabib's stand-up game either. The reality is that for Khabib's game, his stand-up is perfectly fine. His game relies on a ton of forward pressure, a few looping shots, which then results in a takedown. So if the aim is to implement your game plan, then Khabib has a successful stand-up game. On top of that, Khabib does have one of the better defensive games in his time inside the octagon. He only absorbed 1.75 strikes per minute and had a 65% striking defense. Compare that to Khamzat, who has absorbed 3.98 strikes per minute with a 41% striking defense. Now, although those numbers are heavily skewed due to Khamzat's fight against Gilbert Burns, which was primarily a stand-up affair. Now, even though Khamzat got tagged and hurt in that fight, it showed that he can go toe-to-toe with one of the heaviest punchers in the welterweight division. While Khabib did drop Conor McGregor, that was more so because Conor was so worried about the takedown. We never saw Khabib throw down with another elite fighter in the middle of the cage. So having seen more from Khamzat and his clear one-punch KO power, we're going to give the stand-up edge to him. Grappling. Now, it is in the grappling realm that things get really interesting. Khabib and Khamzat are 2 of the most phenomenal wrestlers to ever step foot inside the UFC octagon. And even though both have some similarities in their grappling game, the stark differences stand out more so. First of all, if you thought Khamzat's 3.98 takedowns per 15 minutes was impressive, take a look at Khabib's 5.32 mark. Khamzat does have a better takedown accuracy at 57%, while Khabib is at 48%, but down on the mat. Which is where things get interesting. What if neither man can take down the other and/or keep them down? Then we might get a striking contest between two of the best grapplers of all time. Khamzat has never been taken down in the UFC, while Khabib has an 84% takedown defense. So it's likely that both will struggle to take the other down or do anything of significance with their grappling, at least in the earlier rounds. Both of them do use their grappling in different ways though. Khamzat has a more aggressive grappling style where he wants to control you, damage you, and submit you as soon as possible, as evident by his 2-minute sub of Kevin Holland. But Khabib is more than happy to slowly grind your will from you through exceptional control and pressure game, so we could see Khabib having more success in the clinch and against the fence because of this. However, there isn't any way to determine who is better than the other in this department from what we have seen so far. We could dock Khamzat a couple of points because of his level of competition in comparison to Khabib, but because of how dominant Khamzat has been, we have to go with a draw in this category. Submissions. Submissions is another one that is too close to safely call. Even though Khabib has almost as many submission wins as Khamzat has MMA fights, Khamzat has shown a tendency to hunt and attack submissions more regularly than Khabib, as he averages 3.5 submission attempts per 15 minutes compared to Khabib's 0.8. Now, as we said before, Khabib favors control and pressure, but when his mind is made up or when his opponents begin to break down, Khabib has shown an excellent submission base as evident by his wins over Poirier, McGregor, and Gaethje. But this might have to be another close draw, as both have shown exceptional submission skills in their careers, and it's unlikely either would get submitted by the other. X Factor. For Khabib, the X factor would be his experience and pressure. Khabib has simply fought much better competition than Khamzat and has seen the championship rounds on several occasions, so he knows how to pace himself and slowly zap his opponent's energy and will before defeating them. This would be invaluable against someone who starts off as hot and explosively as Khamzat. While for Chimaev, the X factor would be his striking and self-control. If he goes into the fight the same way as he has in the past with almost reckless abandonment, he might be in for a rude awakening. It's unlikely he would be able to bully Khabib with his grappling, and if he attempts to do that, he might end up using too much energy, something we saw in his fight against Gilbert Burns. But if he's patient and uses his striking advantage, he'll put himself in a position to succeed. Prediction? There are no official odds for this fantasy matchup, but we imagine that they would favor Khamzat, if anyone, just because of his size and strength. But we do believe that if Khabib can make Khamzat work earlier and put the pressure on him so that Khamzat has to exert a lot of energy, he could wear him down and win the championship rounds for a decision victory. While for Khamzat, if he can stay composed and not push his pace early on and use his striking to his advantage, then we could see Khabib tested like he has never been tested before, as Khamzat takes away the Eagles' undefeated record. So if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell beside it so that you're notified the next time we upload a new video. With that being said, you just watched us break down a fantasy matchup between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Khamzat Chimaev. We'll see you next time.